Well, we just had the big Ice-ageddon here in Texas, where the entire state turned into a skating rink. And I woke up and I thought, I better get Barry Johnson in here because we need to talk about what people need to do with their frozen landscaping. There's going to be an awful lot of loss, and there's going to be some things that maybe you think are a loss, but they'll come back. And I needed to get the expert, Barry Johnson from Blooming Colors Nursery in Flower Mound, Texas. Good morning.
Grapevine, Texas. You always
Grapevine. I always say Flower Mound.
Mound.
Why I always say Flower Mound? Maybe it's nursery flowers. I don't know. Sorry about that. Grapevine, Texas. They're your neighbors.
It's close. We serve a lot of people in Flower Mound. We like Flower Mound.
How are you, sir?
Doing good. Doing really good.
That's good.
Unfrozen, 81 yesterday.
Yeah.
So, what's 84-degree change in a week?
Yeah, it's no big deal. No big deal. So when I was looking at somebody's garden yesterday, their ornamental garden, their poor little plants looked really, really bad. I mean, they were like, they were not green anymore.
No. It really hurt a lot. The main thing to think about right now is to be patient. Because a lot of the things you see are just burned. It's just winter burn. Just like you get a sunburn, they're winter burned. And so the leaves look dead. They are dead.
Should you cut them off?
Not yet, because you don't know how far to cut, how far to go on it.
How far the damage is on the,
My recommendation right now is hold steady, water once or twice a week, fertilize in mid-March. And then wait till early April before you do anything.
Start ripping it all out.
That's right. I mean, it'd be better for me if everybody ripped everything out and had to start over. But a lot of those things that just look dead and they're never going to come back.
It's sad. It is sad.
And there are some examples of things that probably aren't. Agave, certain palms, things like that.
They're gone.
They're gone. Probably a lot of
like
bananas.
A tropical type of, or tropical, or maybe a deserty type of cactus type thing.
A lot of the sedum and things like that. That just, we're zone kind of 7 to 8, depending on who you talk to. That was a zone 6.
Which end of town you're in.
Yeah, and who you talk to, but that was a zone 6 freeze. That was down to 0, and there's just a lot of plants here that aren't made for it, but they're in the ground. The snow, believe it or not, helped more than anything because that gave a new blanket
cover,
and that helped keep it closer to 30 rather than 0.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, do you think it's going to affect the bug population? Should it help the bugs you don't want?
That's hard to say.
I mean, if I was digging around trying to find some frozen bugs under there because no electricity, no heat. It's like let's go get some frozen bugs.
It's I've yet to see a bug since all of this, so you might be onto something.
They're in shock.
So it'll be interesting to see how much it affects that. I'm not sure about the correlation on that because. One thing that we know, weeds and bugs are tougher than us. So
they'll be back. Yeah, they'll be back. What is your recommendation now? Let's just pretend like it's kind of a normal time of year. And honestly, it's just bizarre how we go from, I had my electric blanket, my big blankie, and everything on the other night, just like 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And now it's sheets and a fan.
I turned my fan on last night, and I was about to turn the AC on.
It's crazy how extreme we go so quickly.
Yeah.
What are you recommending I do right now to prep my beds?
Well, the thing to remember is our last average freeze is still a month away. So while it was 0 a week ago and it was 80 yesterday, it still could be 20 in 2 weeks. We don't know. So right now, you can clean the beds a little bit, blow them out if you want. You can remulch. Middle of March to end of March, depending on how the weather goes, is when I would fertilize. You'd use a high nitrogen fertilizer. We sell a Blooming Colors blend. It's 2400. It's all nitrogen, and that's what you want to be putting out.
And what does nitrogen do? I don't know anything about plants.
Nitrogen is what gets plants growing, gets them greening, and gives them. It's kind of like giving your kid a Snickers.
A vitamin.
Yeah.
Snickers.
Yeah, it really gets going. Remember when they used to run around the room?
I need some of that stuff, man. I
kids
love
just sit on the
Snickers.
couch
That's
now.
my favorite.
But yeah, it'll start new growth. It'll get things leafing again, and then you can see where you're at. We're right at the edge of planting petunias, another blooming spring plant called stock, dianthus, alyssum, snapdragons are all coming into the store this weekend. So there's some freeze tolerant, not super freeze, but light freeze tolerant plants that you can be putting out and freshen up your pots and everything. But
you're right about the freeze, because now my wife has always told me Easter. She uses that as her.
That's right.
And I always tell her, oh man, it's like 80 degrees. I'm not worried about it, and I plant the tomatoes, and then guess what I'm doing Easter?
Yep.
I'm replanting tomatoes. So you got to be patient, and it's hard to do when the weather's this nice.
It's hard to do. I had my vegetable beds all prepped, and I was like, I think I'll put out some tomatoes. I'll just cover them with
What the heck, man?
some jugs of milk and make a little greenhouse. And luckily I didn't put those out. Yeah, I think statistically in Dallas-Fort Worth we've only had 2 freezes after Easter in 150 years. Farmers will look at mesquite trees and pecan trees, and when you see those leaf out, it's not going to freeze.
Really?
That's
very interesting.
the real one.
Very interesting.
But yeah, being a little patient, I will get my my vegetables out a little bit early. I'll still try them and get them started. I like tomatoes early.
Okay, so I have a couple of things I want to address with you today that are kind of things that I think people need to hear. One of the things that I think is real important is that flower beds are expensive. The ornamental, the plants are expensive. Prepping them is expensive, time consuming. And if it's done right, of course, it's wonderful. But a lot of people don't hire the right people to do it.
That's right. I see it time and time again, both with prepping beds and getting the beds the right way. I also see it in replacing a lot of drainage systems in people's houses and what people think is downhill, and water still doesn't flow uphill.
It still won't do it, even in 2021.
And it's not complicated to add the right amount of compost and fertilizer, till it in to the depth that you need it, mulch the beds well, it prepares them and gives a great place for the plant to grow, as far as keeping the weeds out as well. There's certain fertilizers, certain pre-emergents that you put in to make it easy on the customer. But it is very, very important. What we're doing right now is planning. We're doing landscape jobs, a lot of patios and things like that right now, installing, but doing plans, getting ready for the planting season, and also,
So like scheduling, planning,
mainly planning to plant.
Yeah.
And then also, it is a great time to plant trees. Our tree sale starts this weekend, and they're dormant. They go.
They
in
look
the
like a
ground.
stick.
They look like a stick. You're buying a lot of faith.
Faith.
But now's the time to put them in. They'll root out. They'll have plenty of time to root before the summer heat, which is the worst time of year to plant. And that's a good thing to do this time of year.
I've noticed one of my neighbors has some ligustrums on the side of their house, and they don't look too good. They're a little brown. They look a little frostbit.
They are. I looked across at my neighbors as well, and what used to be a green shield, so I couldn't see his house, is now all brown.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Indian
Do you
hawthorn.
think they survive? So if I look at my plants and the leaves are just all brown, does that mean they're dead, or are they just burned?
Usually just burned, and they should re-leaf. Now, whether they re-leaf from the tips of the branches halfway down or the base,
yeah.
we don't know yet.
Yeah.
My thought is a lot of plants like ligustrum, pittosporum, some of the weaker plants aren't going to come back. And if they do, it's going to be slow and from the base. But, you know, it's really, we won't know and for another full month and a half.
Really, that long, even if it stays warm? They just need time to, what makes them grow? Is it the roots?
It's the soil temperature.
The
Yep.
soil temperature.
Yep.
And so we need to also talk about where to get quality plants and what to look for. So everybody in the world, every big box store sells plants to go in your beds. And now where we used to plant with seeds, people don't plant with seeds anymore. They buy pre-grown plants. Is there a rule of thumb on how to make sure you're not just wasting your money buying a low quality plant or something like that?
The biggest mistake I see is buying a plant that's not for this area. Not so much low quality, although that's an issue. And the issue with quality is usually root. When you're buying at a box store or something, pull the plant out of the pot, look at the roots. Do you see a lot of roots? That's good. Is it very lightly rooted? Pass on it. Look at the health and vigor of the plant as well. But time and time again, I was reminded of this just 2 weeks ago. A customer called me. We did a bid for him a couple of years ago. He called me back and he said, "Barry, I have to admit I was wrong. I went this other way. It's been 2 years. Look at it." And it was horrible.
Yeah,
And a super nice guy, and he spent his money twice. And it's just hard to see that. Spend your money once, spend it right, get a good value. Don't pay top dollar, but get a good value, a good plant.
Once you spend the money to do ornamental gardens around your house, it should be almost a lifetime investment. I mean, you're kind of maintaining them after that if they're done right?
Yep.
So, or you can do it the cheap way and redo them
Yes.
every few years.
Yep.
And that's never fun for anybody.
It's never fun, and it's very expensive. And yeah, I'm doing beds around my house, but I only do them once, and then they're there and they mature. And as I mature, they'll be there forever.
mature?
I'm not going to redo them. Yeah, I'm still a very young man.
I really appreciate you coming in today.
I appreciate the opportunity.
It's great, and I wanted everybody to get some good information on how to handle what they're about to experience with their frozen ornamental flower beds. Barry Johnson with Blooming Colors of Grapevine, Texas. Give him a call or contact him. What's your email?
Our
I mean, your website.
My website is
sorry.
www.bloomingcolorsnursery.com. You can just Google Blooming Colors Nursery and we come right up, and visit our website. You can request things on there, contact us, or call the store.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming in. We
All right.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.